The only thing that we're interested in is putting money in your wallet. If you want to bet the fights, if you want to have a little bit of action, you are in the right place. With my partner, Ian Parker, I am Brett Okamoto.
We're ready to rock between our parlays, our props, our straight picks. It's time to make money. Let's go.
What's up, fight fans? Welcome into another edition of UFC Best Bets. The UFC is back in its hometown of Las Vegas this week with a main event between flyweights Alex Perez and Tatsuro Taira. We are here to talk about it, as always, from a gambling perspective. Hello, everybody. Brett Okamoto alongside my partner, Ian Parker. And the weather is warming up, and so is Ian, dude. He has been on a hot streak, I think, for a few weeks. Let's go back and look at UFC Fight Night. How did we do last week at the board, Mr. Parker?
That was quite the build-up for arguably my worst week of the entire year. So that is the best and worst setup, and I love you and hate you for it. Miguel Baeza did not show up. He made Puna look like a champion. Radke and Perez, 13 seconds left, and Buffalo Chuck hit the deck. And Eduardo Mora, great first round. The rest of it, non-existent. Rojas Jr., we missed that by 8 seconds. And Kanir Imavov, thank you, Jason Herzog. I'm saying that sarcastically for stopping that early. We did hit our prop of the night and Rojas Jr. by decision or sub. Unfortunately, Brett, I couldn't hit water if I fell out of a boat in the middle of the ocean, but that is gambling sometimes. So if you did fade me this week, this is one of the weeks where that worked better than most, but I'm going to bounce back this week. Literally, there's only one way can go from here, and that's up.
Yeah, I couldn't help myself with that intro because you are typically, as we know,
it was good.
And anybody who watches this show, so good, and you have been heating up. I feel like you've been on a hot streak. So we came down to earth in a big way last week, but that is okay. That is the nature of gambling. We will turn it around this weekend at the Apex with a UFC Fight Night. Let's take a look at the main card. You can find it on 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific on ESPN Plus. 6-fight main card. Number 5, Alex Perez taking on Tatsuro Taira, who is number 13. He is undefeated in the UFC, of course, and then also undefeated in his entire career, 15-0. A lot of interest surrounding this young Japanese prospect. And we're going to start our breakdowns and our gambling advice, our handicapping advice on that 125-pound, 5-round main event. These two were actually not supposed to fight each other. UFC liked it as a main event, decided to switch them up a little bit. And these are the closest odds that you have found on Taira so far in his UFC career. I mean, this guy has been high as 12-1 in the past. 24 years old, taking on a 32-year-old veteran in Perez. What do you think of this line, Ian?
Well, look, when you're talking Alex Perez, he was on a very bad streak. What was it? 4 losses in a row. Fights were getting canceled. He couldn't make weight. He shows up against one of the better prospects, almost wins, and then he beats Nicolau in that last one by knockout. And all of a sudden, everyone's like, oh, he's back. He's the man. You know what? He's got to do more than just win one fight in my book for me to jump aboard the Alex Perez train. I've always thought he's well-skilled, well-rounded. But we saw against Makayev, okay? He was not winning in the striking. He was able to just defend against very predictable wrestling. He caught Nicolau, and Nicolau was out for a year. He's now fighting someone in Tatsuro Taira, who I think is a complete package. He's good on the feet. He's very explosive. But when it comes to the ground game, he has just shown creativity, high IQ, and pure dominance here. I'm going to take him at minus 195. And that's the highest price point there. If it goes any higher, I'd recommend taking him by sub. We've seen Perez lose more than a few times when it comes to submission. He's going to be confident. He's going to want to put pressure on Taira. And granted, Taira might be quote unquote unproven against higher level competition. To me, when a guy is this good, it doesn't matter. There's a reason why he's getting the bump. I think this is either, is Taira the real deal or not, or is Perez really back? For me, I'm going with the submission specialist because that's where I think Perez is at his worst. Give me Tatsuro Taira, Brett, to get it done in his first main event. And I'm happy to hear him say, thank you, I'm happy, whatever his catchphrase is, because he's a happy guy. And he will be after he gets this win.
Yeah, and I love when you add that in there, that's the highest price point you want. So if you want to take Taira in his first main event, get him right now minus 195, because I imagine it's more likely that number will get higher than lower as the fight gets closer. Let's move to the co-main event, middleweight. Ikram Aliskerov taking on Antonio Tricoli. Aliskerov, a good-looking prospect off of the Contender Series. He is 16-1 in this bout. How are you trying to handicap the co-main event?
I mean, look, he is fighting someone who, making their UFC debut, and Aliskerov has fought better competition. This guy's cursed. He was supposed to get Paulo Costa. I mean, he's supposed to be getting higher level competition. At this point, I think he's just saying, let me fight. I want to be active. And we love guys like that. Brett, I was shocked to see that the line here is only, I believe, minus 135 to minus 150 for him to win by TKO or KO. And that's how he gets things done. He's a well-rounded fighter. If you want to see a fun fight, go watch him versus Khamzat Chimaev when they were both outside the UFC. That was probably the most competitive fight until Chimaev got here. This is a guy who's the real deal. He's got a lot of power, and he's fighting someone with a lot less experience. For me, give me that TKO or KO prop currently right now at minus 145. Only way to do it, minus 1,600, no value there.
All right, so we're taking the method of victory there in the co-main event. Let's get to the next fight. It's at featherweight. It's Timmy Kawamba taking on Lucas Almeida. Timmy Kawamba coming in at a close to 2-1 favorite. What do you think of this matchup?
Look, you got two guys who like to strike, but the difference here, Lucas Almeida, his last two fights, he got knocked out. And with Kawamba, he's got a lot of power. He likes to finish fights. And for me, I think Almeida needs to get started very fast. We've seen him in the past able to land before. Both guys are going to bang. This is not going all three. That number should be higher, so give me under 2.5 and minus 145.
And then the most competitive fight on the main card, at least what the odds say, Douglas Silva de Andrade taking on Miles John at 135 pounds. What's your pick here?
Miles John's one of the hardest guys to bet for or against, in my opinion, but I like Silva de Andrade here. I think wherever Johns is good, Silva Andrade is just as good. I think he's more durable. He's got better cardio. He's going to match him in the power. I like the underdog here at plus 110.
All right, and then rounding out the main card, we got Asu Alimbayev taking on Jose Johnson at 125 pounds, the big favorite Alimbayev here.
Give me Alimbayev here to win by sub. And Brett, we're going to take it a step further. We're going to do a little prop parlay with Taira and Alimbayev at plus 223. Johnson has 4 losses by sub, fighting a sub-specialist blue chip prospect. You know where I'm going there. Give me Alimbayev by sub, straight along with that one at minus 110.
Okay, and then I'm sorry, I said rounding out, but they actually added this fight to the main card. It's Josh Keeneland taking on Adam Fugit. You like the under 2.5 rounds on this 6th fight on the main card.
I do. Listen, Fugit's a guy who comes out and he brings it every time. Good striker. We saw him get finished against Morales, but late. Kinlan's coming off a couple of bad losses, and I think both guys could be fighting for a roster spot. Kinlan is one of those guys who's kill or be killed, and for me, doesn't matter which one falls and which one has his arms raised. I think it happens in under 2.5 rounds.
I can't believe I forgetted about Fugit there for a second there on the main card. How could that pass me up that they added a 6th fight to the main card? We're talking about the prelims next. You can find them on 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. I know that Ian appreciates that humor. I hope that you guys do as well on our MMA YouTube channel. You can find it at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on ESPN Plus. As always, Ian, run us through your prelim picks.
Well, we're getting Brett jokes. You know it's going to be a good weekend. Let's go with Ulanbekov. Brett, I'm breaking my rule here. I don't care if it's over minus 200. I love Joshua Van. He's a fun fighter, striker, but he gets taken down. He can be held down. And I think Ulanbekov is just as good on the feet. So let's go there. Nate Maness, minus 575. We're not going to take that money line. We're going to throw him in a parlay. When props are released, TKO or KO. Jimmy Flick does not have a good chin. Maness is pretty good. Give me Garrett Armfield here over Brady Highstand. Highstand's a wrestler. Armfield just beat Bracatono. I think is way better. We're going there. Give me the underdog and Carly Judas. We're going to go Saragi over Weston Wilson. I'm sorry, Weston Wilson is not UFC level. I am shocked. He is still in the UFC. Take against him every time. Malachi Costa coming off that loss to Garcia. Both guys coming off a loss to Garcia. Costa's the better fighter. And then Knutson, minus 190 is the absolute highest I would go. That fight's also probably going to go bell to bell.
All right, so we already got a prop parlay from Ian Parker. How about just the normal parlay for this week's UFC Fight Night?
We're going super chalky because I want to win this one. Last week we missed by 1 leg. Give me the plus money here. Nate Maness, Asu Amabayev, Zaragi, and Knutson Pulaski over 2.5 rounds, getting plus 109. I don't see which one of these misses here. You never know, but usually the parlay is kind of my thing, so let's try to get back on track this week.
All right, so that's the parlay, and let's move on to the long shot parlay of the week.
Yes, sir. We got 3 underdogs here. I think these fights are more coin flips, and I think each one does have an edge in certain aspects of the fight. So let's go De Andrade, let's go Carly Judas, and let's go Adam Fugit. I think all 3 can get it done at plus 936. That's going to be the long shot for the week.
All right, and then here comes the comeback after getting blanked on our best bets last week. We're looking for a clean slate this week. What do you got for the best bets?
I'm going to go Tatsuro Taira, no higher than minus 195. I think on the feet, he can handle it. I think once he gets to the ground, it's all his. We're going to go a couple of unders here. Twamba and Almeida under 2.5. Alambayev and Johnson under 2.5. Then we're going Ulanbekov, Armfield, and Costa. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6-0. Let's get it done this week.
I don't know about the rest of you, but that looks like a 6-0 best bet board to me. You can find these fights once again 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific at ESPN2, ESPN Plus. The prelims are 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on ESPN Plus. From the Apex, and we got a busy last 2 weeks of the month. We're going to be going in Saudi Arabia for a UFC on ABC card, and then UFC 303 to close it out. As always, we will be right here giving you gambling advice for both of those cards. So stay tuned. Until then, enjoy the fights this weekend.